Does my beard look okay?
I just, man, you need to start every recording with that. I'm just saying, your beard looks great, my friend. Your beard is what makes this podcast this podcast. If you're out there and you're watching this podcast or listening to it and you've got a way to respond, just react and let us know how much you love Brandon's epic beard. I mean, there's a lot of effort that goes into a beard like that. So now, while we're really on, thank you guys for tuning back into your weekly roar. We're going to have a lot of fun today. We'll talk a little bit about the current news that's going on. There's a lot of exciting stuff happening right now, as well as drill back into the coming node sales for the R0AR chain, which is at hand. So before we jump into the R0AR node sales again, Brandon, what are you thinking about this Ethereum testing all-time highs? Where's it at the moment? I mean, it's probably taking a little reprieve.
That's right. It was up. Actually, I think I saw it touch just over 4,800 yesterday. It was back down 4,500 range.
Wow.
It's amazing, hitting those numbers like that. But I think people are taking some wins. I think you're seeing that pump, and then they said, "Hey, okay, let me take some of those wins now." I don't know that it's over though. I think we're gonna keep heading that direction. I'm bullish.
Well, my thinking is that if we keep testing the all-time high, they're 4,800 and above. Once we break that next pressure barrier, which is going to be right around 5,000 or a little more, we
Mhm.
start breaking that barrier. I'll be interested to see if Ethereum goes for a run for a minute after that. I think everyone's starting to figure out there's some narratives that are important to what's happened inside the world of crypto and governance. So governments are starting to lean into crypto, and the US doing the Genius Act and really being behind stable coins. We'll talk about that on another podcast coming up probably in the next week. But there's some really smart moves going on, and those smart moves are tailor made for the Ethereum ecosystem and those altcoins that are around it. So I think Ethereum's going to attempt that all-time high, take it over, make another run, and then my thinking is that's going to be an indicator of the beginning of our next altcoin season.
Yeah,
I'm hyper bullish, and
I
if we
agree.
see that, don't you think like if we see an altcoin season going through the end of August and into September, that we're on par for an October?
October, man. I am in. Let's do this.
Up
I'm here for it.
October, take us with you. Like that rising tide in Ethereum raises all ships. And so
Yeah.
all of us Ethereum compatible altcoin, alt chain layer twos, we get excited about that. So again, this is not investment advice, but I'm
That's
just
right.
saying we're seeing some indicators that lead us to believe that we might be seeing the possibility. The first I think the first indicators of a coming October. So, super exciting. That's a lot of not speculation now, but a lot of just looking at what's really going on in the market. And I'll say at the end of the day, I've loved seeing Ethereum go from what was it, 1,800 a token just
That's,
months ago
that's right.
to
I think,
4,500.
yeah.
Oh my goodness. Oh my goodness. Okay, one last thing I'll say about Ethereum, and I'll get off of it because I love Ethereum. We're not maxis at the same time, though. We recognize that Ethereum is ultra central to our ecosystem as we've built it so far, and even as we build in more, it'll still be ultra central for our layer two chain, which Ethereum is that not the transactional layer, but it's the settlement layer for what we do in layer twos. But Ethereum, if again, Bitcoin is considered digital gold as a
Mhm.
commodity, I'd have to say Ethereum with smart contracting being on the forefront of that, especially with renewed investment from their own foundation and leadership and a shakeup at the top of the leadership that's given us some great protocols and upgrades to the systems themselves and teams like Optimism and others that are building on top of it. With that kind of activity, then I'm going to keep saying that I believe then that Ethereum's probably digital silver. So at the very least. So you guys, again, I'm super excited, and that's fun for us. But we're not only on here for this. People keep pounding away at these node sales. We've been hit for node sales for the longest time, and we are heading into the node sales, the whitelisted pre-release. Some of you OGs out there, NFT holders, you get early access. That's oncoming. Like within days now, we're finishing up the final testing for the node platform and all as it is available, which is so exciting. I wish I could show you all of it, but it's coming. You'll see it all very soon. We'll have walkthroughs or whatever for when you start. And then we're probably, guys, we're days, if not a week away from live public sales. So with that said, there's a lot of questions going on. Reference our last podcast to hear a ton of questions. We're going to hit the highlights today of what this is about again, because not everyone's heard about the node sales. And again, go back to the old podcast if you want to drill down into minutia and the weeds. And then we'll bring a couple new things today as we review some of the things. The main reason why we're doing this with our chain right now is we're solving the infrastructure ownership gap in layer 2s. We're partnered with our partner Zeev as well as Optimism team in developing first of its kind node sales that do what they do. These solutions are working with our optimistic rollups. Now, layer 2s, they have exploded in adoption. And optimistic rollups have been processing over 15 billion in total value locked. That's not just processing through, that's TVL. And most of that infrastructure still remains fairly centralized. And we're not harping on that. We're just saying it can be done better if it's decentralized. So we're going away from a handful of validators and nodes to a democratized view at the critical infrastructure for our layer 2. Why is our layer 2 important? Well, it's central to what we do in all of our platforms and development. So R0AR Chain is where we're building everything. Now we're adding backwards compatibility to Ethereum's incompatibles because that just makes sense. I mean, hey, we love making all kinds of revenue and fees off of whatever we build. We're not going to stop. It's fun. And we want to bring everybody with us. But at the very core, our chain itself is so low cost and so high speed and just rocking it. So we're democratizing that central infrastructure to allow anyone to own and operate validator nodes while earning rewards for securing the network with us. So you're participating in those transactions, not just as a cute idea or running some mathematical whatever. You're securing it and you're actually participating. So traditional layer 2s ask users to trust centralized sequencers and validators for the most part. We're flipping the model by giving our community direct ownership of infrastructure that powers that financial sovereignty. So this isn't about just earning rewards. It's about owning the future of decentralized finance and being a participant in that larger growth that's going to be included in the super chain. Remember, we're not doing anything just for us. So our platforms, we do it on our chain. That brings super value and TVL and grows our assets on chain. We're also supporting with our platforms all the other chains we can. They're Ethereum compatibles immediately. And then more as we go. So our wallets, our platforms, our apps, we're doing that. And with our chain itself, we're not just thinking, how do we have everything on our chain? We want to participate in the great big narrative of what's next. And that great big narrative is the super chain, where base chain, optimism chain, and all other OP stack family chains go together with R0AR Chain and others, and our tokens become native across chains. And why does it matter about going with us for launching your project, your application, your NFT, your ERC20 token? Because the applications we're building on our chain are absolutely easiest to use. We're doing best of class, single click, AI enabled, check your brain at the door, automated launching of tokens, NFTs, and projects. And it's just, we're making it super simple, not just for the dev heavy, but also the new end users. So guys, when you want to be a part of that infrastructure before we just start offloading all of that there, that's what these node sales are. We're bringing you in. As DeFi approaches a projected 231 billion market value by 2030, as we leave the 4% of population of the world, 4% that are in crypto. And we go into 10, 20, and 30% of the population involved in crypto. In 2030, they're projecting 231 billion in market value in DeFi. It's important to make an infrastructure play if you're going to do it. We're told in the very beginning, hey, if you're doing your own chain, if you're doing your own apps, you really need to think about nodes. And so we were like, hey, that's a great idea, but we need to know how it really works and functions with layer 2. So we got down in the dirt, got with our teams, and got heavy into it. And that's this. So this infrastructure that supports these protocols, they've got to evolve from centralized gatekeepers to community-owned networks, just like the origins of this whole world of DeFi and blockchain. And so this is going to align incentivize between users, validators, and the protocol itself. So this is going to be where technical innovation literally meets community empowerment. Your nodes are going to serve as the backbone of our chain's network, and they're going to perform critical functions, not excluding a lot of other things that we can add over time as we develop, but transaction validation and data availability, network security, and cross-chain operations. That's where we're going. And we are going to add more to it. Not to mention what we're going to talk about here in just a second for being a licensed owner of those nodes. So before I say that and I hand off to you, Brandon, because you're going to take us deep into all the good stuff, pricing tiers and rarities and licenses, whatever. Are these licenses transferable?
No, the licenses are non-transferable. That's a great segue because that's right where I was going to start.
Go ahead and start there.
But before I do, I wanted to say, that the philosophy that you just explained and the technology, I mean, the technology is cutting edge, but the philosophy is different than the way I've heard it explained from other chains and the way other people talk about node sales. This is a different thing, and I think people really need to grab onto that. You get to participate in the validation. You get to be a part of what's actually going on, rather than just this idea, right?
It harkens back to the old days of mining.
Hmm.
Like I gotta be honest. I'm an old guy at a lot of things, and I'm an old guy in blockchain development. And I remember the early days of just Bitcoin. There was only Bitcoin. There's actually a couple other things that were kind of similar thoughts and ideas, but Bitcoin was the only one that created in a ledger blockchain kind of service that made sense and worked.
Hmm.
First of its class, first of its kind, really at the end of the day. And I thought to myself, like, connecting actual work
Hmm.
and processing and the ledger itself and the value of it as a service to a token that's mined and not minted, but mined in the process by
Hmm.
these different, you know, validators. It was really incredibly interesting. These miners,
Hmm.
they mine the token. And I love that idea.
Yeah.
And this harkens back to that real activity, real value, like decentralizing some processes as much as we can to be able to secure the system
Hmm.
and to give community participation as well as to give a share of the rewards that come out. So yeah, it's
Yeah,
cutting it.
absolutely. Yeah,
Anyway,
thank
go
you.
ahead. Tell us all the
Yeah,
things.
yeah. So when you buy a license, we actually have a tiered structure for these licenses, right? The non-transferable licenses, that is. Um, so our tier one is going to be the first 1,500 nodes, right? That's going to be our early adopters. People want to get in right away. And those, so the first 1,500 nodes, and those are at $300 for each node, which is super reasonable when you compare it to something like Ethereum or some of the other nodes that are available out there. This is a great way to do that. Plus, I don't know if we've mentioned it recently, but you get a discount if you buy with one roar. So you use our token, you get a 10% discount. That's pretty awesome. Tier two is the next 3,000 nodes. That is going to be $500 is the price on that one. Tier three is 15,000 nodes at 750. Tier four is 35,000 nodes at 1,000, and tier five is 25,000 nodes at 2,000. Total of 79,500 nodes. Um, which is amazing, right? Those are going to go fast. I think this is going to be kind of like when we put our NFT project out there, the Executive Roar Society. Like you're going to see it'll start going a little bit and then it's just going to take off and all of a sudden they'll be gone. So you want to get in early, you want to get in as quickly as you can. And honestly, I'm going to try to get in at all of the levels because I want the NFTs that come with it. Those NFTs are beautiful and I think it'd be awesome just to have the whole collection.
They're
Uh,
gorgeous, dude.
so the rarity levels for each of those is going to be Grail is tier one, Legendary tier two, Epic is tier three, Rare is tier four, and then we were talking about it being called Common for the tier five, but I decided to change it up a little bit and I made it not so common, just for fun. And if you want to see any of those NFTs, you want to see any of that stuff. Um, you can look back at our last podcast. Actually, we shared the screen. We showed some of those graphics and all that. That's fun stuff. We won't do that again today, just for sake of time. But why don't you tell us a little bit about some of the benefits of owning these nodes, Dustin?
Well, benefits, like honestly, we're an abundant group. Like here, when it comes to Roar, we are an abundant group, and we love giving back to the community, and we're always looking for ways to reward. So there's the initial benefits we talked about here. There's a percentage that you're getting from participating in the network of the actual fees that are coming through, as well as there's another benefit that we'll talk about when we talk about the in-game stuff in a minute with those rewards, because folks have questions. What's the return on it? We'll talk about that in a minute. But beyond those, just those rewards for participating, we're actually doing what we do with all of our other NFTs. So if you're in, the Executive Roar Society, we've done this with this, but you get access to our platforms. So it's a keyed entry with the wallet you've got. You get whitelisting into our other projects. We have so many projects coming. Oh my goodness. We update the roadmap. There's already going to be like 10 projects in the past that you never saw coming. I'm just saying, because there's so much coming in the market all the way through Q4. We haven't had a chance to communicate with everybody yet. It's going to blow your mind. We just did a call with some of our key original, investment group that's our what we call our Roar community or country club. And we blew their minds for an hour and 7 minutes as we downloaded what's coming. You get access to that stuff early, whitelisting and all the other projects. Just like this project, the folks that are getting in early with it are the ones that are original investors in Roar that were part of the old school pre-sale and the NFTs. We're going to always reward your loyalty and your early investment. And by the way, this is still early. This is still early inside of the crypto market. Airdrops. We have another airdrop coming out that'll be in 2026 in the future. And that's just because once we arrive with a lot of these projects, we're just benefiting everyone again. That's how we roll. Governance will be built into these, especially when it comes down to governing the chain itself. So if there's changes happen in our protocol or whatever, you guys are going to be a part of that decision as far as proposals and voting for how that changes. I mean, that could include fee changes or drop changes or whatever, and even some of the rewarding we're talking about at the end of the call. That voting will be done by you guys and all of us that hold these tokens. So those are all involved. Now, let me get to that in-game stuff, and this is where I kind of nerd out. A lot of people have been saying, hey, how do we know that our first year is going to be good? It's always interesting to see if a chain gets adopted, or if applications have a lot of spend or whatever, or if the total value lock goes up in that chain in the first year as things are taking off. And we just left our beta a few months ago with Roar Chain, and now we're in full flow and function. Apps are just starting to come in. Fees are just starting to happen. Value lock is just starting to come over through our bridge. It's all just beginning. And we're actually going to be putting in hundreds of thousands of dollars, even millions, into our chain very, very shortly, which is going to raise our value lock high quickly. But what do we do to make sure that our early node folks are getting good returns rewards? And so we are working on right now a hybrid return model, because this has been a discussion between us, the development team, or whatever. And on the development side, we can't do a lot. That those fees are going to be locked in, and that's functional unless there's a vote and a change. But what can we do to offset ourselves? And here's what we're determining right now. We're going to finish up the details and get them out to you very soon, within the next days or week. And that's this return model for this first year, that if we have early low usage, it's going to be predictable returns for the long term, because we'll be also adding to the return rewards in ROAR. So 1 ROAR tokens will be rewarded to you in chain to your node for being a part of this process. So that's a way we can actually make things more predictable for folks that take this early risk. So I'm excited about that. Like, that's the latest new thing that we get to talk about. Everybody's like, what's the return? What's the return? You know, will our value be, will it go low because so many sell? No, that's not what's going to happen. We will always look for ways to make it better for our community. Just like with our first airdrop, just like with everything we pushed out, we've always made it even better than we said. So you got anything you want to add to that, Brandon?
No, man, I think you covered it. It's exciting this whole season with the node sales and it going live. I just encourage everybody to get in and be a part of it.
Boom. Well, guys, that's where we're going to end today on this podcast. We're super excited. Thanks for making time for this. Again, go if you want to see behind the scenes, you want to see the NFTs, the licenses. If you want to see more on screen, go look at our podcast from last week. Mm-hmm. And then get ready for next week. We're going to be releasing more and more information as we go, because, my friends, we've got so much more to go from here. A couple more things before you head out the door. We're going to be talking very soon about ROAR Platform Season 2 on the ROAR Chain, as we migrate from Ethereum Chain to ROAR Chain for liquidity and staking and farming and all that good stuff. It's coming. It's at hand. And ROAR Wallet 2.0 on Android and Apple and Chrome Store. They are actually in the submission process. Bugs fixed. New versions out. We're working on the partnership and embedding of our Wallet Connect as well as MoonPay, guys. So that's super cool. Easy onboarding and offboarding directly into any Ethereum compatible chain through our wallet and ecosystem, but even beyond that, into ROAR. One ROAR, our chain, our platform, one place, our rails. We love you. Community, as we
That's
call
right.
this to a close.
Now, Dustin, before we go,
yeah,
we have to mention that next week our podcast is going to be at a new time.
Yes, you guys, we have watched what's going on here, and we recognize what's shifted in times. So we have been live for the last months, probably like a month and a half. We've been going live on our podcast on Fridays, and we've been doing it late in the day. But what we found is that you guys are on X platform and everywhere around 8 a.m. Eastern Standard Time on Tuesdays. And so if you can ever look at a heat map for all of your followers across platforms and find it, say, anything above 90%, probably where you should target. So, guys, it's weird. Like 100% of you guys almost are on Tuesdays at 8 a.m. So we're coming to you your time. We're not bringing you to this time. We're going to be migrating over to Tuesdays at 8 a.m. Eastern, 7 a.m. Central. So mark that in your calendar. We'll be putting out information. And starting next week, you'll see us on Tuesday. Just get ready. And with that, I can say now, as we leave you today, we close. Family, pride, it's time to roar. Go get your roar on. We'll see you next week. Y'all take care. Bye, Brandon. Thanks for being on, my friend.
Yeah, bud.